When everything around you is chaos, when the noise is loud, people are panicking, and the pressure is mounting, there is one ability that will make you unstoppable: the ability to remain calm. Think about that. In a world that's constantly reacting, the one who remains calm controls the outcome. Calmness is not weakness. Calmness is power. It's control. It's focus. And most importantly, it's choice. You see, your mind is like a muscle. It can either flinch and collapse under stress, or it can be trained to breathe through the fire. Calmness isn't something you're born with, it's something you build. And when you build it, when you master it, you become untouchable. Not because chaos won't come, but because it no longer controls you. Let's dive into the art of training your mind to be calm, no matter what life throws at you. Calmness is a choice, not a trait. This is one of the most liberating truths you can embrace. We often look at people who remain calm under pressure, leaders, athletes, monks, or those seemingly unshakable individuals, and think they were just born that way. But the reality is different. Calmness isn't something you either have or don't have. It's something you cultivate, develop, and strengthen over time through conscious decisions and repeated practice. It's a learned skill like playing an instrument or lifting weights, and it grows stronger the more you use it. The problem is that most people don't realize they're practicing the opposite every single day. Every time you snap at someone who irritates you, every time you let a delay ruin your day, every time you react emotionally to a challenge, you're reinforcing a pattern. You're training your mind to be reactive, chaotic, and fragile. But just like any habit, that pattern can be rewired. The moment you understand that calmness is something you choose, not just something you feel, you reclaim your power. It begins with self-awareness. You can't choose calmness if you don't realize you're choosing chaos. And most people are completely unaware of how often they're reacting instead of responding. They move through life on autopilot, letting emotions drive the wheel. But emotions aren't drivers, they're signals. They're not in charge unless you let them be. Calmness enters the equation the moment you realize you don't have to obey every feeling that arises. You can feel anger without acting on it. You can experience fear without running from it. You can be anxious without letting it control your voice, your decisions, or your behavior. Choosing calm means slowing down in the moment. Where you'd normally rush, it means breathing before speaking. It means allowing space between what's happening and how you respond to it. That space is where calm lives. That pause is your doorway to freedom. And with every pause you take, you strengthen your control over your mind. That doesn't mean you won't feel intense emotions. It means you won't be ruled by them. It's like lifting a mental weight. At first, it's heavy. You'll feel the pull of old patterns, but over time, that weight becomes easier to hold. Your tolerance increases, your control sharpens, your response becomes intentional. People who appear naturally calm have often trained themselves for years to stay that way. They've developed habits that protect their peace. They've become masters at separating emotion from action. They've learned to observe a situation fully before reacting. And most importantly, they've accepted that calmness doesn't come from life being perfect. It comes from their mindset being prepared. That's where the shift happens. Calm people don't have fewer problems. They have stronger minds. This kind of mental strength is forged in the fire of discomfort. It's built by choosing calm in moments that tempt you to explode. When someone insults you and you stay composed, not because you're numb, but because you value your peace. You're building strength. When life throws you into uncertainty and you decide to trust instead of panic, you're practicing calm. When your plans fall apart and you respond with patience rather than frustration, you're training your brain to stay centered. Each of those choices compounds. Each moment builds the next. There will always be noise in the world. There will always be stress, uncertainty, and people who try to push your buttons. Calmness doesn't mean those things disappear. It means you no longer allow them to hijack your mind. You remain grounded. You stay in control, not because the world is easy, but because you've trained yourself to be stronger than the storm. That's what separates calmness from passivity. This isn't about avoiding problems or pretending things don't affect you. It's about recognizing that the chaos around you doesn't have to create chaos within you. You can feel everything deeply without losing your center. And the most powerful part of all this, you don't need years to start. You just need one decision. Right now, in this very moment, you can choose to approach things differently. You can choose to respond instead of react. You can choose to pause instead of explode. You can choose to breathe instead of break down. The more often you make that choice, the more natural it becomes. Calmness stops being a momentary tactic and starts becoming part of your identity. It becomes who you are. It's not about pretending to be calm on the outside while boiling on the inside. It's about genuinely training your internal world to reflect peace, clarity, and control. That doesn't happen by accident. It happens by intention. Over time, your brain rewires, your reactions soften, your emotional tolerance expands, and the things that once triggered you no longer hold power over you. You'll notice yourself responding to life with a quiet strength, not because you're suppressing your emotions, but because you've mastered them. That is the real definition of power. Not how loud you are, not how much control you exert over others, but how well you control yourself. Your reaction, not the situation, is the real problem. This truth is difficult to accept because it challenges the way most people see the world. When something goes wrong, the natural response is to point outward. The traffic made you angry, your boss stressed you out, someone's words ruined your day. But in reality, the situation is never fully responsible for your emotional state. It's how you interpret and respond to that situation that determines your peace or your chaos. This idea flips the script on blame. It forces you to stop waiting for the world to change and start mastering your internal response to it. There are people who lose their minds over minor inconveniences, and others who stay composed through extreme pressure. The difference isn't in what they face. It's in how they process and respond. That's why two people can go through the exact same event and walk away with completely different experiences. One breaks, the other bends. One reacts with panic, the other with patience. What separates them is not the event, but the way their minds are trained to interpret and handle pressure. Your perception shapes your reality, and your reactions shape the quality of your life. This is empowering because it means you're not helpless. It means you don't have to be at the mercy of life's unpredictability. You can't control what people say. You can't control every outcome, but you can absolutely control how you show up, how you carry yourself, and how you choose to respond when things don't go your way. That's where real strength lives. It's not in domination or control over others. It's in mastery of your own emotions. When you truly internalize that your reaction is your responsibility, you stop giving your power away to every little trigger around you. Life will test you. People will test you. But those tests don't come to destroy you. They come to reveal who you are under pressure. And in every test, there's a choice. You can explode, complain, retreat, or overthink. Or you can take a breath, observe, and choose a better response. The more you react impulsively, the more you reinforce your weakness. But the more you respond consciously, the more you build your mental resilience. That's how calmness is built, not in quiet rooms with no disturbance, but in real life pressure where you choose to hold your center. Your emotions are valid, but they're not always accurate. Just because you feel angry doesn't mean the situation is unfair. Just because you feel offended doesn't mean someone was attacking you. Just because you feel anxious doesn't mean something bad will happen. Emotions are messengers. They offer data, but not always truth. The wise person learns to sit with their emotions, to understand what they're signaling, but not to act on them blindly. That's what emotional intelligence is, knowing what you're feeling, why you're feeling it, and how to respond in a way that aligns with your higher self, not your reactive self. If you're not careful, your reaction can turn a small issue into a major one. A single misunderstanding can become a full-blown argument because someone couldn't control their tone. A minor delay can ruin an entire day if you let frustration spiral. A critical comment can trigger self-doubt or rage if you don't filter it properly. These aren't life-ending events, but our reactions often amplify the damage far more than the events themselves. Learning to manage your reaction doesn't mean you become passive. It means you become powerful. It means you learn how to protect your energy and keep your peace intact even when things around you are out of order. This ability to manage your response isn't natural. It's trained. It comes from choosing awareness over autopilot. It comes from catching yourself in the moment before your emotions take over. That moment is where transformation lives. If you can just pause before reacting, you create space. And in that space, you can choose a different path. You can ask yourself, what's the best way to handle this? Will this matter tomorrow? Is this worth my peace? Questions like these bring clarity. They stop the emotional momentum before it becomes destructive. Reactions are usually fueled by the ego, by the need to defend, prove, or dominate. But when you operate from ego, you shrink your ability to stay grounded. You give temporary emotions permanent power. And most of the time, the thing you're reacting to isn't even about you. People act out of their own pain, insecurity, or ignorance. Your job is not to absorb that energy. Your job is to filter it, remain composed, and respond from a place of inner strength. That's how you protect your peace. Not by shutting down emotions, but by choosing which ones deserve your energy. The truth is, life will never be free of challenges. You can't remove every annoying person. You can't avoid every stressful situation, but you can become someone who's unshakable in the midst of it all. And that starts with owning your reactions. It starts with recognizing that your peace is too valuable to hand over to someone else's mood, words, or behavior. It starts with deciding that you will not allow outside circumstances to dictate your internal condition. When you master your response, you master your life. And in doing so, you begin to rise above the noise, no longer a prisoner to every trigger, but a calm presence in the middle of the storm. Awareness is the first step to control. Before you can train your mind to be calm, you must first become aware of how your mind operates. Most people move through life without observing their thoughts, letting their emotions dictate their behavior. Without ever questioning why they feel a certain way. They get angry without realizing what triggered the anger. They feel overwhelmed without noticing the buildup, and they spiral into anxiety without recognizing the mental patterns that led them there. But when you begin to pay attention, when you start observing your thoughts instead of becoming them, you start gaining control over your inner world. Awareness creates distance between you and your emotions. It allows you to see what's happening inside you without immediately reacting to it. This distance is powerful because it gives you space to choose. You begin to understand that your thoughts are not facts. They are stories your mind tells you based on experiences, fears, beliefs, and habits. Just because a thought enters your mind doesn't mean you have to believe it or act on it. When you develop this kind of self-awareness, you become a witness instead of a puppet. You no longer react blindly to every emotional impulse. You start responding with intention. Training your mind to be calm doesn't start with force. It starts with observation. You can't change what you don't notice. The first time you begin to pay attention to your inner reactions, to the quick frustration when something delays you, to the sudden tension in your chest when someone disrespects you, to the racing thoughts in moments of uncertainty, you're taking the first step toward transformation. That awareness alone interrupts the automatic cycle. It creates an opening, and in that opening, new possibilities emerge. This process of awareness is not something that happens once and fixes everything. It's a practice. You catch yourself in small moments when your tone sharpens, when your body tenses, when your breath shortens, and you bring yourself back. Not with judgment, but with curiosity. You ask, why am I feeling this way? What story am I telling myself right now? Is this emotion coming from truth or habit? These questions open the door to understanding. They help you get beneath the surface of the emotion, to its root. And once you understand the root, you can begin to heal and reshape your responses. It's important to understand that awareness doesn't eliminate emotions. It simply puts you in the driver's seat. Instead of being swept away by every emotional wave, you learn how to ride it with steadiness. You observe the rise of anger, the pull of anxiety, the heaviness of sadness, not with resistance, but with mindfulness. You allow the feeling to pass through without letting it define your identity or your actions. That's real strength. Not in suppressing what you feel, but in being so aware of it that it no longer controls you. Most people avoid self-awareness because it's uncomfortable. It's easier to blame others than to look inward. It's easier to distract yourself with noise than to sit with your thoughts, but growth lives in the discomfort. When you stop avoiding yourself and start observing yourself, you discover what's really driving your reactions. Maybe it's fear of rejection. Maybe it's an old belief that you're not good enough. Maybe it's a past wound that never fully healed. Awareness brings all of this to light. It doesn't fix it instantly, but it makes it visible. And once something is visible, it can be changed. In every stressful moment, there is a split second where awareness can change everything. That pause between stimulus and response is where your power lies. You're stuck in traffic and frustration rises. In that moment, you can unconsciously react with anger, or you can notice the tension, take a breath, and choose calm. Someone criticizes you and your ego feels attacked. In that moment, you can snap back defensively, or you can become aware of the trigger and choose to respond with maturity. These tiny decisions, repeated again and again, are how mental calm is developed. It's not about being emotionless, it's about being emotionally aware. As you strengthen your awareness, you also start noticing patterns. You see how certain situations always bring the same reaction. You start to understand that you're not upset because of what happened today. You're upset because today's event reminded your nervous system of something from years ago. Emotional patterns are like grooves in your brain, and awareness is the tool that helps you identify those grooves so you can create new ones. The more you pay attention, the more you realize that many of your reactions have nothing to do with the present and everything to do with unresolved past experiences. Awareness brings clarity, and clarity gives you the ability to act not out of emotion, but out of understanding. When you can see clearly, you make better choices. You speak with more compassion. You listen with more patience. You handle challenges with more grace. You stop reacting to life and start responding to it with wisdom. All of this begins with that first step, awareness. The simple act of paying attention to your inner world is the foundation of lasting calm. Pause before reacting. This single practice can transform your entire life. It may sound simple, but in reality, it requires immense discipline and awareness. Most people are constantly reacting. Someone says something disrespectful, and they immediately respond with anger. A situation doesn't go as planned, and frustration erupts. A small inconvenience happens and irritation takes over. This cycle continues over and over, creating a life that is controlled by external events rather than internal stability. But the moment you insert a pause, just a few seconds of silence and breath before responding, you reclaim your power. The pause is where you interrupt the automatic pattern. It's the space where choice lives. In that moment of stillness, you can decide what kind of person you want to be, how you want to respond, and whether the reaction that's rising within you is truly worth giving your energy to. Without that pause, you are a slave to your impulses. But with it, you become the master of your emotions. That's the true essence of calmness, not being detached from life, but being so in control of yourself that nothing can pull you off center without your permission. When you pause before reacting, you shift from being impulsive to being intentional. You allow your logical mind to catch up with your emotional response. Emotions are fast, they hit hard and move quickly. Logic is slower, it requires time. The pause is the bridge between the two. It lets you catch the wave of emotion before it crashes into words or actions you can't take back. It gives you space to evaluate the situation, ask yourself what matters most, and respond in a way that reflects your highest self rather than your most wounded self. The pause doesn't have to be long. Even a single deep breath can create enough space to stop a reaction from taking over. That breath grounds you in the present. It reminds you that you have a body, that you're here now, and that you don't have to rush to react. In fact, the more important the moment feels, the more valuable the pause becomes. When emotions are high, decisions are usually poor. But when you pause, you cool the emotional temperature just enough to see things clearly. And clarity is power. You can't control what others say or do, but you can always control how you respond. That control is built in the pause. It's built by practicing patience when it's easier to explode, It's built by choosing to remain silent when words won't heal. It's built by stepping back from the edge when you feel yourself about to say something driven by ego or pain. The more you pause, the more you train your nervous system to stay regulated under pressure. You teach your mind that not every trigger requires a reaction. Not every offense deserves your energy. Not every conflict needs your participation. Most people fear the pause because it feels like weakness. They think responding quickly shows strength or intelligence, but true strength is restraint. True wisdom is the ability to remain still while the storm swirls around you. In the pause, you practice non-reactivity. You allow things to unfold without trying to control or resist them. And from that stillness, better responses emerge. You might realize that the person lashing out at you is projecting their own pain. You might recognize that the situation, though stressful, is temporary and doesn't require a dramatic reaction. You might discover that what felt urgent a moment ago isn't actually important at all. Pausing also allows you to reflect on your intentions. What outcome do you want from this moment? Do you want to win an argument or preserve a relationship? Do you want to be right or do you want to be at peace? Do you want to prove a point or do you want to grow? These questions don't arise in the heat of reaction. They come in the stillness of reflection. And when you take the time to ask them, you start responding to life with more clarity, more compassion, and more wisdom. Over time, this practice changes your baseline response to stress. You become less reactive, not because life gets easier, but because your mind becomes stronger. The pause becomes automatic. It becomes second nature. You start to notice your triggers faster. You sense the rise of emotion and intercept it before it overtakes you. You begin to live more from your values and less from your wounds. You show up in conversations with presence instead of defensiveness. You deal with challenges calmly because you've trained yourself to create space before you act. The pause gives you power over yourself. And when you have power over yourself, you're no longer at the mercy of the world around you. You no longer need to control others or force situations to go your way. You simply respond from a place of strength, not struggle. That pause becomes your sanctuary. It becomes the gateway to a calmer, wiser, and more grounded version of you. The version that doesn't react to every fire, but knows when to speak, when to act, and when to simply breathe and let the moment pass. Your breath is the anchor to your peace. It is the most accessible and immediate tool you have to regain control when everything feels chaotic. Yet most people overlook it because it's so simple, so automatic, so constant. They underestimate its power because they've never truly paid attention to it. But when used consciously, your breath can bring you back from the edge of anger, calm a storm of anxiety, and ground you in the present moment when your mind is spiraling into the future or drowning in the past. The breath doesn't just keep you alive, it keeps you steady. It connects your body, your mind, and your emotions into a state of balance. And learning to use it well is one of the greatest skills you can ever develop. When your mind races, your breath shortens. When you're overwhelmed, your breathing becomes shallow and rapid. But when you slow your breath, everything within you begins to settle. Your heart rate calms, your muscles loosen, your thoughts soften. You shift from a reactive state into a responsive one. That's because your breath is directly connected to your nervous system. When you breathe slowly and deeply, you signal safety to your brain. You tell your body, we're okay, we're not in danger, we can calm down now. This shifts you from fight or flight mode into a state of rest, recovery, and rationality. It's not magic, it's biology. This is why every ancient wisdom tradition, from yoga to martial arts to meditation, places great importance on the breath. It's not just a spiritual concept, it's a physiological strategy for self-mastery. The breath is always with you. You don't need any equipment. You don't need a quiet room. You just need a moment of awareness and the willingness to pause. In that pause, when you turn your focus inward and begin to breathe with intention, you interrupt the chaos. You reclaim the present, you reconnect with the version of yourself that isn't ruled by stress, anger, or fear. Conscious breathing brings you into alignment. It roots you in the now where peace exists. Most emotional suffering comes from the mind wandering, rehashing the past or anticipating the future. But your breath can only happen in the present. It pulls you out of the noise in your head and into the truth of this moment. This moment is usually not as bad as your mind makes it out to be. It might be uncomfortable, it might be uncertain, but it's rarely as catastrophic as your thoughts suggest. When you breathe through it, you realize you can handle it. You build resilience, not by avoiding discomfort, but by learning to breathe through it. Training yourself to use your breath as a calming tool takes practice. It won't happen automatically in stressful situations unless you've made it a habit. That's why it's important to practice when things are calm. Take a few minutes every day to sit still and breathe deeply. Inhale slowly through your nose, feel your lungs expand, and exhale gently through your mouth. Let your attention follow the rhythm of your breath. When your mind wanders, bring it back. This simple practice strengthens your ability to stay centered under pressure. It rewires your nervous system for calm. It prepares you for the storms of life. And in the real moments of stress, before a big conversation, during a heated argument, in the middle of bad news, you can draw upon that breath like a warrior reaching for a sword. You don't react blindly. You don't explode. You don't shut down. You breathe. You ground. You stay. And in that space, you choose your next move wisely. You respond with calm, with clarity, with presence. People around you may still be chaotic, situations may still be intense, but you have created an inner sanctuary that no one can steal. That's what the breath gives you. Ownership of your inner world. Even just one deep breath can make a difference. One conscious inhale and exhale can stop a panic attack from escalating. It can stop a cruel word from leaving your mouth. It can stop your hands from shaking or your voice from cracking. It can create just enough pause for you to remember who you are and how you want to show up. The breath reminds you that you are not your emotions. You are the awareness beneath them. And that awareness can choose peace again and again. As you become more connected to your breath, you also become more connected to your intuition. When you're calm, you hear yourself more clearly. You make better decisions. You understand what you really feel, not just what you were conditioned to react to. You begin to trust your inner guidance more than the noise around you. You learn that calm isn't just a feeling, it's a strategy, a power move, a way of living that keeps you aligned with your purpose and your values. All of that begins with the breath. You'll still face difficult moments. Calm doesn't mean life stops being challenging, but now you have a tool. You have something to return to, no matter how intense the situation becomes. When the world speeds up, you slow down. When things fall apart outside, you hold it together inside. That is the strength of a calm mind. That is the quiet confidence of someone who has learned to breathe before reacting, to return to center before acting, to anchor themselves in peace, no matter what storms may come. Meditation is not about emptying your mind or reaching some mystical state of enlightenment. It's about building a deeper relationship with your thoughts and emotions so that they no longer control you. In a world that's constantly pulling your attention outward, meditation is the practice of pulling your attention inward, of slowing down enough to hear what's really going on inside you. When practiced consistently, it becomes a powerful tool to train your mind to be calm in every situation. It teaches you how to observe without reacting, how to witness without judgment, and how to create mental space even in the most overwhelming moments. At its core, meditation is a training ground for awareness and focus. It helps you recognize the constant stream of thoughts running through your mind, thoughts you usually accept as truth without question. These thoughts shape your emotions, your reactions, and ultimately your life. When you meditate, you start to see those thoughts as clouds passing in the sky. Temporary, fleeting, not who you are. This shift in perspective is powerful. It means that even in moments of chaos, you no longer have to identify with the stress, the fear, or the anger. You can acknowledge those feelings, but you don't have to become them. The mind naturally wants to wander, especially in times of stress. It jumps from one worry to another, projecting worst-case scenarios, reliving past mistakes, or imagining future disasters. Meditation trains your mind to return to the present moment. Every time you bring your focus back to your breath, your body, or a specific point of attention, you're strengthening the muscle of presence. Over time, this muscle becomes strong enough to anchor you in real-life situation. You're no longer swept away by every thought. You respond instead of reacting. You choose stillness over chaos. Regular meditation also improves emotional regulation. Neuroscience has shown that meditation actually changes the structure of the brain, particularly in areas related to stress and emotional control. The amygdala, which triggers fear and anxiety, becomes less reactive. The prefrontal cortex, which is responsible for rational thinking and decision-making, becomes more active. What this means is that through meditation, you are rewiring your brain to handle pressure with more grace. You become less reactive to triggers, more patient with discomfort, and more resilient in the face of adversity. One of the most misunderstood ideas about meditation is that it's supposed to feel peaceful or easy, but the truth is, meditation often brings discomfort to the surface. When you sit in silence, there's nowhere to hide from your thoughts. You face your fears, your insecurities, your unresolved emotions. This is not a weakness. It's the process of healing. Calm is not found by avoiding these inner storms, but by learning how to sit with them, breathe through them, and watch them pass. Meditation gives you the courage to face your inner world, and in doing so, you become unshakable in the outer world. It's not about the length of time you meditate, it's about consistency. Even 5 or 10 minutes a day can shift your entire mindset if done regularly. Meditation doesn't just help you feel calm while you're doing it. It teaches your nervous system how to stay calm when you're not. The calm you build in those quiet moments carries over into your conversations, your relationships, your decision-making. You begin to bring the stillness you practiced on the mat or in the chair into your daily life. You pause before reacting. You breathe before speaking. You think before judging. And slowly, your entire life begins to reflect the peace you've cultivated within. Another powerful effect of meditation is that it creates space between stimulus and response. This space is where your freedom lies. Instead of reacting automatically to stress, anger, or frustration, you learn to observe the emotion as it arises and choose your response. That space might be just a second, but in that second, everything can change. You might choose silence over argument, patience over pressure, or kindness over control. Meditation teaches you to find that space and to expand it so your life is no longer dictated by emotion, but directed by awareness. Meditation also builds inner clarity. The more time you spend in quiet reflection, the more you begin to understand your true values, your true desires, and your true self. You become less influenced by the noise of the world and more aligned with your own inner compass. This clarity helps you navigate challenges with confidence and calm. You stop overreacting to every obstacle because you trust your ability to handle it. You've trained your mind to stay centered. And that training shows up when it matters most. The practice of meditation is not reserved for monks or spiritual seekers. It's for anyone who wants to be more grounded, more focused, and more emotionally resilient. It's for people who want to take back control of their inner world and live with intention rather than reaction. And the best part is that the benefits are cumulative. The more you practice, the deeper the calm becomes. The more often you sit in silence, the louder your inner wisdom grows. You stop living on the surface of life and begin operating from a deeper place of peace and purpose. Meditation doesn't change what's happening around you, but it transforms how you meet it. And that changes everything. The people you surround yourself with have a profound impact on your inner peace. If you constantly engage with those who live in chaos, who thrive on drama, who spread negativity like wildfire, then no matter how much you meditate or breathe deeply, their energy will seep into your mindset. Calmness is not just something you build within, it's something you must protect from the outside. The human mind is deeply impressionable. We absorb the emotions, the perspectives, the vibrations of those around us. That's why choosing your circle carefully isn't just good advice. It's a necessity if you want to live a calm, centered life. Energy is contagious. If you spend enough time around someone anxious, you'll find yourself picking up on their restlessness. If your closest friends are constantly complaining, arguing, or reacting emotionally to every small thing, that becomes your normal. You may not even notice how much of your emotional baseline is being shaped by the people in your life until you start feeling constantly tense or overwhelmed without knowing why. Protecting your peace requires awareness of your environment and the courage to create distance from what disturbs it. It's not about judging others or thinking you're better. It's about recognizing that your mental state matters and not everyone deserves access to it. Calm people intentionally curate their surroundings. They don't allow just anyone to have a front row seat to their lives. They understand that peace is precious, and it can be shattered by toxic conversations, manipulative relationships, or energy-draining interactions. When you decide to train your mind to be calm, you'll naturally start noticing who adds to that calm and who takes away from it. Some people will feel like fresh air. When you're around them, you feel more grounded, more hopeful, more at ease. Others will feel like noise. When you leave their presence, you feel drained, anxious, or unsettled. That difference is your intuition speaking, and it should not be ignored. Creating boundaries is a form of self-respect. If someone consistently brings chaos into your life, it's not unkind to step back. It's wise. You are not obligated to absorb someone else's storm. You can be compassionate without being a sponge for their negativity. You can care about someone and still protect your peace. That may mean having honest conversations, limiting your time with certain individuals, or in some cases, walking away entirely. Letting go is not always easy, but sometimes it's necessary for growth. Peace often comes at the price of pruning your life, removing what no longer aligns, so that what truly matters can thrive. The right people won't pull you into panic or drama. They'll inspire you to return to stillness. They'll hold space for your growth and encourage your calm rather than constantly disrupting it. You need people in your life who remind you of who you are when the world tries to make you forget. You need conversations that nourish you, not ones that deplete you. Surrounding yourself with grounded individuals helps you stay grounded. Their presence alone becomes a silent reminder that you don't have to be in survival mode all the time, that calm is possible even in chaos. This doesn't mean expecting perfection from others. Everyone has bad days, moments of stress, emotional outbursts. What matters is the pattern, not the one-off event. Is this person consistently bringing value to your peace, or are they constantly tearing it down? Are they willing to grow and reflect, or are they addicted to conflict and chaos? These are hard questions, but necessary ones. Because every time you tolerate energy that disturbs your calm, you send a message to your subconscious that your peace is not a priority. And over time, that message becomes a belief, and that belief shapes your life. It's also important to reflect on the energy you bring to others. Are you the person who brings calm or chaos? Are you someone who listens, who breathes through the tension, who chooses thoughtful responses over emotional outbursts? Or are you often reacting, projecting, or stirring negativity? Protecting your peace also means being responsible for it. You can't demand calm from your environment if you're contributing to the disorder. Your presence should be a safe space for yourself and for others. When you cultivate inner calm, you naturally raise the emotional standard for the people around you. You become a thermostat, not a thermometer. You influence the emotional temperature rather than being influenced by it. This is why community matters. Find people who are also working on themselves, who value growth, stillness, and intention. Surround yourself with those who understand the importance of reflection, who practice empathy, who choose peace over pride. In that kind of environment, your mind finds it easier to stay regulated. You feel supported, not drained, encouraged, not judged. Calmness becomes a shared value, and it deepens through mutual respect and understanding. It's not about avoiding challenges or pretending everything is fine. It's about facing life with people who know how to stay steady through the storm. Sometimes protecting your peace means being alone for a while. Solitude is not loneliness. It's the space where you get to know yourself, heal from past noise, and reset your emotional compass. Use that time to recharge, to reflect on what kind of energy you want in your life. And when you re-enter the world, do so with clarity about what you will and won't allow. Your peace is sacred. Not everyone gets to walk through the door. The calmer your mind becomes, the more sensitive you become to what threatens it. And when you realize how much it costs to constantly be in chaotic company, you'll stop giving away your presence to anyone who hasn't earned it. One of the most essential skills in cultivating a calm mind is learning how to stay grounded in the present moment, especially when life feels overwhelming or unpredictable. This is easier said than done, particularly in a world filled with distractions, constant noise, and external pressures. Yet the ability to maintain focus on the present is a cornerstone of emotional and mental peace. So often we find ourselves preoccupied with past regrets or future worries, which only amplify our stress and anxiety. But when you train your mind to stay in the present, you break free from this cycle and create space for calm to enter. The mind has an extraordinary ability to dwell in the past and project into the future. Thoughts of things that have already happened, mistakes, missed opportunities, or painful experiences can easily drag us into a spiral of regret, guilt, and frustration. On the other hand, thoughts about what might happen, fear of the unknown, worries about future challenges, or fantasies of disaster can paralyze us with anxiety and overwhelm. Both of these states take us away from the only moment we truly have, the present one. And when we lose sight of the present, we lose access to the peace that resides within it. Being present means fully engaging with whatever is in front of you without being consumed by what has already happened or what may come. It's about accepting the present moment as it is, without judgment, without resistance, and without trying to change it. This is where true calmness is found. The more we try to control, fix, or change the moment, the more we disrupt our inner peace. But when we accept it for what it is, without clinging to any specific outcome or feeling, we free ourselves from the mental chaos that tends to follow us. The first step to staying grounded in the present is awareness. You must become conscious of when your mind is slipping into the past or future. This requires practice and mindfulness. Being able to notice when your thoughts begin to wander and gently guide them back to the here and now. This isn't about forcing yourself to stop thinking about the past or future entirely. It's about redirecting your focus when you catch yourself drifting without judgment or frustration. Simply acknowledging that your mind has wandered is a powerful act of mindfulness and a way to regain your footing in the present moment. Another key aspect of staying present is focusing on your senses. When your mind races, the easiest way to anchor yourself is to pay attention to what you can hear, see, smell, taste, and feel in that very moment. By doing this, you connect with your surroundings in a way that immediately brings you back to reality. You shift from the abstract realm of thought to the concrete realm of experience. Whether it's feeling the warmth of the sun on your skin, hearing the rustle of leaves in the wind, or simply noticing the texture of the ground beneath your feet, these sensory experiences pull you out of the noise of your mind and into the present moment. Practicing deep breathing can also serve as a powerful tool for staying present. As you focus on each inhale and exhale, you bring your attention to the rhythm of your breath, which is happening in the here and now. This simple yet effective technique creates an instant connection between your body and mind. It's nearly impossible to focus on your breath and simultaneously dwell on the past or future. The breath, like the present moment, is always with you, always accessible, and always anchoring you in the now. Staying present also requires learning how to let go of expectation. So much of our anxiety and stress comes from our attachments to specific outcomes or our desires for things to unfold a certain way. But life rarely unfolds exactly as we expect. When we become attached to a particular outcome, we often set ourselves up for disappointment, frustration, or anxiety. Staying present means surrendering to the unfolding of life, trusting that things are happening as they should, even if we can't see the full picture at the moment. This doesn't mean being passive or inactive. It means engaging with life fully as it is, without trying to force it into a mold of your own creation. Another way to stay present is through regular meditation. Meditation is a practice that trains the mind to focus on the present moment. And it's one of the most effective tools for cultivating calm. By sitting in silence and focusing on the breath, a mantra, or the sensations in your body, you create a mental environment where the present moment can thrive. In this space, you learn how to let go of distractions and focus solely on what is happening right now. The more consistently you practice meditation, the easier it becomes to bring that presence into other areas of your life. Being present is not just about cultivating inner peace, it also improves your relationships with others. When you are truly present with someone, whether it's a loved one, a friend, or even a stranger, you show them that they matter. You listen without judgment or distraction, and you engage in the conversation without thinking about what you're going to say next or where you need to go afterward. This kind of presence builds trust, deepens connections, and fosters a sense of emotional security. People feel seen and heard when you are present with them, and this creates a mutual sense of calm and understanding. Moreover, staying present enhances your ability to handle stress. When you focus on the present, you avoid getting swept away by what might happen or what could go wrong. You take each moment as it comes rather than building up an imaginary mountain of stress based on future fears. By focusing on what you can control right now, you regain a sense of power and agency, which automatically calms your mind and body. It's the difference between reacting in panic and responding with poise. In the end, staying present is about choosing peace over worry, calm over chaos. It's about letting go of the mental clutter that often clouds your mind and choosing to focus on the only moment that is truly real. The more you practice staying present, the more natural it becomes. You develop the ability to handle life's challenges with greater ease, and you create a mental space where peace can always exist, regardless of external circumstances. When you live fully in the present, you realize that calm is always available. It's just a matter of choosing it. Patience is a trait that's often undervalued in today's fast-paced world. It's easy to fall into the trap of believing that everything must happen immediately, that success should come quickly, and that the results of our efforts should be instantaneous. But true calmness is rooted in the practice of patience. It is an essential part of developing mental resilience and emotional steadiness. When you cultivate patience, you teach yourself to endure difficulty without panic, to face challenges without frustration, and to move through life without the urgency that so often leads to stress. Patience is the silent strength that allows you to move through the world with grace, no matter the circumstances. In our modern culture, we are constantly bombarded by messages that tell us to rush. The world moves fast. Information, technology, social media, and even the pace of our careers push us into a mindset of instant gratification. We want things now, and we feel frustrated when they don't arrive as quickly as we expect. This constant impatience disrupts our inner peace and robs us of the ability to enjoy the journey. But the truth is, life does not unfold on our timeline. The best things often take time. Growth, healing, success, and even happiness require patience. And the sooner we embrace this, the sooner we can experience calm in the face of life's delays and challenges. Patience begins with an understanding of time. Time is not an enemy to be rushed through, but a resource to be respected. Every moment, no matter how small, carries its own importance. When we rush, we miss the richness of the present. We overlook the lessons, the growth, and the opportunities that come from taking our time. Patience allows us to see the beauty in the slow unfolding of life. It teaches us that it's okay to move at our own pace, to trust that things are happening exactly as they should, even when the outcome is not immediately visible. Part of developing patience involves learning how to tolerate discomfort. In our quest for instant solutions, we often avoid situations that make us uncomfortable, whether it's sitting with an emotion, dealing with a difficult task, or waiting for a desired outcome. Our impatience often drives us to seek quick fixes, but discomfort is an integral part of growth. When you practice patience, you allow yourself to experience discomfort without feeling the need to escape it. You learn to sit with the discomfort, to let it be a part of your experience, knowing that it will pass. This builds emotional resilience, which is key to maintaining a calm mind. Another crucial element of patience is learning how to manage expectations. Often our impatience stems from having unrealistic expectations about how long something should take or what the outcome should look like. We want success, but we're not always willing to do the hard work or endure the setbacks that come along with it. Patience teaches us to adjust our expectations, to recognize that things often take longer than we anticipate, and that setbacks are part of the process. When we align our expectations with reality, we're less likely to feel frustrated or disheartened when things don't happen on our timeline. We learn to trust the process, knowing that every step, even the difficult ones, brings us closer to our goals. Patience also helps us navigate relationships with greater ease. Every relationship, whether with a partner, a friend, or a colleague, requires time and understanding to develop. When we are impatient with others, we expect them to act or change on our timeline. This often leads to frustration, conflict, and misunderstandings. Patience allows us to honor the pace at which relationships evolve. It teaches us to be understanding, to give people the space they need to grow, and to approach challenges in relationships with a calm and compassionate mindset. Instead of expecting perfection, patience helps us to appreciate the progress that happens over time. In situations of stress, having patience with yourself is particularly important. It's easy to become frustrated with yourself when things aren't going as planned or when progress feels slow. Impatience with yourself can lead to self-criticism, guilt, and anxiety, all of which undermine your mental calm. Patience with yourself means allowing yourself the time and space to make mistakes, to learn, and to grow. It means accepting that setbacks and failures are part of the journey and that they don't define your worth or your potential. When you practice patience with yourself, you allow room for growth without the burden of perfectionism. You free yourself from the pressure of always needing to have everything figured out, and you embrace the process of becoming. In high-stress situations, impatience often leads to impulsive decisions or reactions. Whether it's a work deadline, a family conflict, or an unexpected problem, the rush to fix the situation immediately can create more chaos than resolution. Patience, on the other hand, teaches you to pause, assess, and act from a place of clarity. It helps you resist the urge to make rash decisions driven by panic or frustration. By taking a step back and allowing yourself time to think, you're more likely to make thoughtful choices that lead to better outcomes. Patience gives you the mental space to respond rather than react, which is key to maintaining calm in the midst of crisis. Another aspect of patience is learning to trust in the timing of your life. In our culture, we're often taught to set goals, work hard, and expect results quickly. We measure our success by how fast we can achieve our goals, but life is not a race. Sometimes the things we want most require more time than we anticipated, and the waiting can be difficult. But impatience often clouds our ability to see the bigger picture. When we learn to trust that everything is unfolding as it should, even when things seem slow or uncertain, we begin to experience a deeper sense of peace. Patience teaches us to trust the process, to believe that all things are working together for our good, even if we can't see it yet. Ultimately, patience is not just about waiting for things to happen. It's about how we wait. Do we wait with peace, trust, and faith, or do we wait with anxiety, frustration, and impatience? By practicing patience, we learn to wait without resistance, to trust that everything will unfold in its own time. Patience is a quiet strength that allows us to face life with resilience and calm, knowing that we don't need to rush, that we don't need to force outcomes, and that the process itself is just as important as the destination. When it comes to achieving mental calm, one of the most profound practices you can engage in is learning how to embrace silence. In our world of constant noise, whether from technology, traffic, social media, or the endless chatter of everyday life, silence has become a rare commodity. Yet it is in these moments of stillness that we can find clarity, peace, and the calmness we so desperately need. Embracing silence is not just about avoiding external noise. It's about creating space within ourselves to reconnect with our thoughts, our emotions, and our inner sense of peace. The more we embrace silence, the more we open ourselves up to mental tranquility, allowing us to find calmness amidst the chaos. In a world that never stops, it's easy to forget the power of quiet. Our minds are constantly bombarded with stimuli, which can create a sense of overwhelm and disarray. The problem with constant noise is that it prevents us from truly listening, both to the world around us and to ourselves. In silence, we can listen more deeply to our own thoughts, emotions, and intuition. We are no longer distracted by the outside world, and we can begin to tune into what's really happening inside. This level of awareness is crucial to achieving calm because it enables us to understand what is truly going on beneath the surface of our thoughts and feelings. In silence, we are given the opportunity to observe ourselves without judgment or external influence. Embracing silence also allows us to practice mindfulness. When we engage in mindful silence, we learn to focus our attention on the present moment. This is a skill that requires practice, but can be incredibly powerful in maintaining a calm mind. Instead of being consumed by the thoughts of the past or future, silence brings us back to the now. By sitting quietly with our thoughts, we allow ourselves to let go of any unnecessary mental clutter and just be. In this space of stillness, we are reminded that we don't have to do anything or be anything, we simply are. This realization brings a sense of peace that cannot be found in the noise of everyday life. Another significant aspect of embracing silence is its role in fostering emotional regulation. Often when we're caught up in the hustle and bustle of life, we act on impulse. Our emotions take the lead and we react quickly, often without thinking. This can lead to unnecessary stress and conflict. Silence provides us with the opportunity to pause before reacting. It gives us the space to reflect, process our emotions, and choose how we want to respond. When we practice being silent, we practice patience. And patience allows us to slow down our reactions, making more intentional, thoughtful decisions. In times of stress, silence can be a powerful tool in preventing emotional overwhelm and maintaining calm. In addition to emotional regulation, silence also contributes to improved mental clarity. When we are constantly engaged in activities and conversations, it's difficult to gain a clear sense of direction or purpose. Our minds are clouded with distractions, and we struggle to hear our inner voice. Silence allows us to clear away this mental fog. It gives us the opportunity to focus on what truly matters and discern the path forward. Whether it's deciding on a course of action in a difficult situation or simply taking a moment to reflect on our goals, silence can provide the mental clarity we need to move forward with confidence and calm. Another powerful benefit of embracing silence is the opportunity it provides for deep introspection and self-awareness. It's in the silence that we often discover things about ourselves that we might not have realized in the noise of daily life. Our thoughts and emotions may surface, and we are given the chance to examine them from a place of objectivity. This level of self-awareness is crucial for growth and personal development. Without silence, it's easy to get caught up in the external world and lose touch with our inner selves. Embracing silence allows us to reconnect with who we truly are, to understand our desires, our fears, and our motivations, and to make decisions that align with our true value. The practice of silence also extends to our interactions with others. Often in conversations, we are so focused on responding or providing advice that we fail to truly listen. But silence can be a powerful tool in communication. When we embrace silence in our conversations, we open the door for deeper listening. We give others the space to express themselves fully without feeling rushed or judged. This kind of listening fosters understanding, trust, and connection. It also allows us to be more present with others, which is essential for maintaining calm and reducing the stress that comes from miscommunication and misunderstandings. Silence also offers a break from the constant input of information. In the modern world, we are continuously absorbing information from television, social media, news outlets, and other sources. While staying informed is important, constant information overload can be overwhelming and exhausting. Embracing silence allows us to step away from this constant flow of external input. It creates a space where we can process the information we've already absorbed and make sense of it at our own pace. This mental detox is essential for maintaining balance and clarity in a world that often feels chaotic and fast-paced. Finally, embracing silence allows us to cultivate a deeper sense of peace and contentment. When we stop chasing after the next distraction or trying to fill every moment with activity, we create the conditions for peace to flourish. Silence teaches us that we don't need to be constantly doing something to feel fulfilled. In fact, it's often in the moments of stillness that we experience our greatest sense of contentment. When we embrace silence, we are reminded that peace comes from within, not from external sources. It is a state of being, not doing. By regularly embracing silence in our lives, we develop the ability to stay calm no matter the external circumstances. We learn to trust the stillness and the clarity that comes from within. Silence becomes a sanctuary in which we can find refuge from the noise and chaos of the world. It provides a space for healing, reflection, and growth. In this quiet space, we discover that calm is always available to us. It's just a matter of choosing it. In a world addicted to drama, impulsiveness, and noise, calm is your superpower. It's not about pretending everything's okay. It's about knowing you'll be okay no matter what. You won't always control your circumstances, but you will always control your mind. That's your job. That's your power. That's your responsibility. And the more you train it, the more life you gain, the more peace, the more clarity, the more influence, because the calmest person in the room is always the strongest. So breathe, slow down, take the pause, choose stillness, choose peace, train your mind to be calm in every situation, and watch how your entire world changes.